My name is Alana Curtin, and today I'm going to be telling you how to use an alternative method for multiplication. So let's get started. Many of you may know the traditional way to multiply, but today we're going to be learning a new method, the table method. The table method will lay out our thoughts a little bit better and break some numbers apart into those benchmark numbers, which are easier to multiply. We're going to jump right into it and get started with our first problem. Our first problem is going to be 45 times 63. And we're going to use the table method to figure this problem out. So to begin, we have 45 times 63. Now we're going to break apart those numbers into benchmark numbers. So first let's start with 45. So we have 45 can be broken down into two benchmark numbers pretty easily, 40 and 5. And we're going to put those numbers on our chart. We're going to put those numbers above the dark green. Now you may be wondering why we made that a 40 and didn't put a 4 there. The reason is because we see that the 4 and the 6 are in the tenths place. And because of that reason, we need to have something to hold that tenths place and keep them there. So we're using the 0 there. And we're going to do the same for 63, we're going to break that down to 60 and 3 because those are both easy benchmark numbers. We're going to put our 60 right up here. We're going to do these vertically. And then we're going to put our 3 right here. And we see that we have 60 and 3 gives us 63. And these are both numbers that are easier to multiply than 63. The same is true with 40 and 5. If we added those together, we would get 45. And again, those are easier to multiply than 45. So to get started, we're going to be doing some crisscrossing of our table method, but we're going to start in our top left-hand corner, just like we're reading. You don't have to start this way, but it's easiest with the table method to start like you're reading from left to right. So to start, we're going to do 60 times 40. Now you may be thinking that's a little bit tricky, so let's make it a little easier. Let's cover up these zeros for a minute. Then we have 6 times 4. What is 6 times 4? 24. All right, we know that 6 times 4 is 24, but what about these zeros? When we add up all these numbers, we see 6, 0, 4, 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 numbers, so we know that the result is going to be in the thousands, because we have our ones, tenths, hundreds, and thousands. So we're going to bring these two zeros back that we had just previously ignored. And we have 2,400 or 2,400. Next, we're going to do 60 times 5. And again, just like we're reading, we're going to go left to right. So we're also going to ignore this 0. So we're going to cover that up and do 6 times 5. And 6 times 5 gives us 30. And now, we know that these two numbers multiplied have 1, 2, 3 numbers. So we know that something has to go here. And we already took that 0 away, so we're going to bring it back and put it right here. Next, we're going to come back to this 3 right here. And we see we're going to do 40 times 3. And you see we have a 0 here, so what are we going to do? Cover it up. Which leaves us with 4 times 3. And that gives us 12. And we covered up 1 0, so we have to put that 0 back. And lastly, we're going to take this 3, slide over, and multiply it by 5. And that's one of our basic multiplication facts, so we all should know that that is 15. All right, great. We have our table filled in, so now what do we do, you may be asking? Well, we are going to add all these numbers together in order to get our final result for 45 times 63. And we can do this because we broke those numbers apart previously, And so now we have to add them all together again to get our answer. We're going to do that right over here. We're going to add 2,400, or also said as 2,400, plus 300, right here. And then we're going to add our 120. And then we're going to add our 15. And make sure you line up the places correctly so we have all of our ones, all of our tens, all of our hundredths, and all of our thousands. And we're going to add these. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 5 gives us 5. 0 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 gives us 3. 4 plus 3 gives us 7, plus 1 gives us 8. And then 2 plus nothing gives us 2. So we have a final answer of 2,835. And that answer is 45 times 63 is 2,835. And if you're questioning this, go ahead and check it on a calculator and you'll get the same answer. Great, let's try one more together. Our next problem, you can see right up top there as I'm erasing this, it is 23 times 57. All right, so our first step is to break that down into our benchmark numbers. The reason, again, that we're breaking these down is because it's a little bit easier to multiply. Whether it's for your student, whether it's for your friend, it's easier for them to multiply those benchmark numbers. So first, let's break down this 23. To make that a benchmark number, we can break that down to 20 and 3. Now again, if you're wondering why we had to make that a 20 and not a 2, it's because it's in the tens place. So we have to have something to hold that ones place. And we're going to use 0. And then we're going to bring our 3 right over here up top of the dark green. Next we have 57. Now 57 can be broken down into a benchmark number of 50, which is pretty easy. And again, we have to have the 0 to hold the ones place to make that a 10. And then we have 7. So just to make sure these numbers are right, if we did 50 plus 7, we'd get 57, and 20 plus 3 would give us 23. So first, we're going to start by doing the 50 times the 20, left to right like we're reading a book. And we're going to start by covering up these zeros. And we're going to have 5 times 2. And 5 times 2 gives us 10. And then, remember, we have to bring these zeros back. Again, the reason we have to do that is because if we count these numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, we see that the result has to be in the thousands place. And this would get us in the thousands. Next, we're going to go horizontally again and do 50 times 3. We're going to cover up our 0, and that gives us 5 times 3. And that's an easy math fact, 15. Next, we have to bring that 0 back and make it 150. Next, we're going to jump down here to our 7. We're going to do 7 times 20. And we have a 0 up here, so we're going to cover it up. We're going to cover our 0, and we're going to do 7 times 2, which gives us 14. We have to bring our 0 back, and we're going to put it right here. And we can count the numbers to check that. 1, 2, 3. So we know it has to be in the hundreds place, the answer. And ones, tens, hundreds. That's in the hundreds. We're going to hop over here and do 3 times 7. And that's going to give us 21. Great. So we have our table method filled in again. And now what are we going to do? We're going to add it all up. So let's add all of these together. Since we had broken everything down, we can add it all together again to get our final result for 23 times 57. Let's do it right over here. We have 1,000 plus 150 plus 140 plus 21. And again, remember to line up our places. So we have our ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 1 gives us 1. 0 plus 5 plus 4 plus 2 gives us 5 plus 4 equals 9 plus 2 gives us 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 1 gives us 2, plus 1 gives us 3, and 1 plus nothing gives us 1. 1,311 is our answer for 23 times 57. And again, if you're questioning this, go ahead, check it on a calculator, and your answer will be the same. So again, we just broke everything down into our benchmark numbers, which are a little bit easier to multiply. Next, I'm going to let you try it by yourself. So here you go. 78 times 13. Welcome back. How did you do? Let's check your answer. So first, we did 78 times 13 was your practice problem. You must have broken up that 78 into our benchmark numbers, 70 and 8. And then you must have broken up that 13 to 10 and 3. First, you must have done 70 times 10, or cover up those zeros, 7 times 1, which gave you 7. Add those zeros back, 700. Then you must have come and done 8 times 10, or 8 times 1, got the 8, and add the 0 back, which gave you 80. We must have jumped next to 70 times 3. Cover up that 0, 7 times 3 gives you 21, and add our 0 back so that we have our hundreds. Lastly, you must have done 8 times 3, which is one of our basic math facts, 24. Now let's see how you did adding them all together. We had 700, 210, 80, and 24 in our math table. And that added all together gave us 1,014. Now you may be wondering how this compares to the traditional way to multiply. Let's check. So we have 78 multiplied by 13. This is how we set up our problem. And first, we always start with 8 times 3. And that gives us 24. We're going to write our 4 down, carry our 2. And remember, we go down and across. We're going to do 7 times 3 gives us 21, plus 2 gives us 23. Write that right here. And then we need something to hold this spot. And we're going to start with the 8, and we got to give this 1 some love. We're going to do 8 times 1 gives us A, and then 7 times 1 gives us 7. And then we're going to add down. 4 times 0 gives us 4. 3 times 8, plus 8 gives us 11. Carry our 1. 7 plus 2 gives us 9, plus 1 gives us 10. And look, we have 1,014. So our math method table works. And you can go ahead and check this out and compare it for a little bit. Great! What did you think? Did it work for you? I hope so. Keep practicing with your students and keep up the great work. Also, share this model with your friends and family. Show them your new math method. Thanks for joining me today, and hope this worked for you.